there, and welcome to workout number 3 for Trimester 1, intermediate level. Today, what you're going to need for today's workout are some of the following, not everything, but I'll explain. If you can remember, in workout 1, we did the tiger deadlift, and what we're going to do today is we're going to repeat the tiger deadlift, and for those of you who found it challenging enough, I want you to try to remember what weight you used. You're going to do the exact same movement we did there. If you didn't find it challenging, we're going to take whatever load you did and we're going to put it in one hand so it becomes a unilateral lift. Okay, so if you found that it was adequately challenging, doing it bilaterally, I want you to keep it that way. If you found it decently or not too challenging at all, you can do single arm, and I'll explain more when we get there. The other thing you're going to need is a relatively heavy weight, so something around 20 pounds. So you could use a 20-pound dumbbell or a 20-pound kettlebell. We're going to be doing sumo squats today. So a sumo squat is this movement right here. So basically knees flared out, chest up nice and high. If you do not have access to dumbbells, I want you to think around the house what you might have that would weigh approximately 20 pounds. It can be an object with a handle or an object without a handle, something though that you can keep relatively close to the body, ideally something you can pick on and off the ground. So here could be a possibility if you have a baby carriage from a previous pregnancy, or you're super prepared and you've already got one, put that on the scale, load it up with a couple of objects. I've got some salsa here, I've got some V8 juice, and that's about 19 pounds. The only thing I don't like about the baby carriage is that the range of motion is a little shallow, so I'll show you when we're doing it how to make sure you can still do that movement with a good deep range of motion with nice bent arms. Okay, other piece of equipment. These two pieces of equipment are optional. One would be a ball. We're going to do mountain climbers today, and the progression that I'm going to suggest is to do a mountain climber with your hands on a ball. Now I'm using a small basketball. That's the only type of ball I have around the house. You could use one of the larger stability balls if you have access to one. If you've never worked on one before, make sure if you try it, put it up against the wall to give you a little bit more stability. And then if you can work towards doing the movement in free space, you can. So experiment with that. If you prefer just to do the mountain climber on the ground, like we did last workout, that's okay too. And then finally, sometimes it's nice to have a chair around just to assist you with some of the basic movements. Okay, so let's get started into our warm-up. So just find an imaginary line on the ground. We're going to go left foot lead, front and back steps. Think about trying to activate the Kegel just a little bit, draw in the core, and we're just going to warm up the body just a little bit. A quick note on the Kegels and the core activation, which we will do every workout. It's important to be able to fire those on and off. And let's switch lead legs, right foot lead. So what I mean by that is that you definitely want strong Kegels and strong pelvic floor muscles, because that sort of thing will help you with urinary incontinence. The level or the risk of that will go down as well. There are some studies that suggest that the chance of having hemorrhoids goes down as well if you're doing Kegels. Some other good benefits there as well. I'm going to change this movement to an out, out, in, right foot lead. However, having said that, you don't want to have the Kegel turned on 24/7. When it actually comes time to deliver, you need to be able to relax those pelvic floor muscles. So it's very important that we're both understanding how to turn on the pelvic floor, have it nice and strong, but also relax when necessary, and switch. So that's why during some of the cues, I'll ask you almost to turn it on and turn it off like a light bulb. So make sure you're practicing that, but don't feel like you have to have that Kegel fired 24/7 throughout the day. And relax it out. Okay, let's just take it into a little bit of a dynamic stretch. So I would like you to balance on one leg, core in nice and tight, and we're aiming to just hinge at the hips until I feel a slight pull in the hamstring. And now let's get right into that glute activation that's so important in these workouts, where you're going to squeeze your glutes to come up and slowly come down. Squeeze to come down. Sorry. Relax to come down, squeeze to come up. If you want to, reach with the opposite hand. Let's do one more on this side. Good. And switch over to the other side. So this is a bit of a stretch, a bit of a stabilizer, and a bit of a glute ham activator, all in our little warm-up here. Good. As an option, you can reach the opposite hand. Try to make sure your hips are square. So what I mean by that is in this down part, your hips aren't open, but they're square towards the ground, loading through the heel, squeezing glutes and hamstrings to come up. Great job. Moving on. 5. Reach that right leg right back into a little bit of a runner stretch here. Runner stretch, hold, knee drops down, lift the arms up. Fingertips come down, back knee comes up. So we're just playing around with how to hit that hip flexor slightly differently. Knee goes down. Good. Gently drawing the belly button in. Lifting up. One more, and we'll switch over to the other side. Good. Hands go on the inside. Bring both feet in. Feet are straight ahead. Drop the feet down. We'll just do a little sumo squat here in between. Let's do 5 of those. Into a nice frog position, shoulders down and back, grabbing onto those toes, lifting up. So we're getting a little bit of an active groin stretch here. 2. When I'm in the down position, I'm trying to slide my shoulders down and back. Nice flat back. Last one here. Okay, I'm going to step my left foot back now. Left foot goes back. I'm going to adjust here in a good runner's position. I feel that back hip flexor stretch. Drop the back knee down, keeping the back toes tucked under. Lift the arms. Hands go back down. Lift. Doing 5 of these. And lift. And lift. Last one here. Hands come on the inside of the thigh. Knees come back, toes tuck under. Let's go wide leg, child's pose. Forehead goes down. Walk those fingertips forward, getting a little bit of a stretch underneath the shoulders. Maybe a little bit in through the groin. Over to one side. Increasing the stretch underneath the right lat, the right underarm. Over to the other side. Down the side body. Okay, one more stretch before we go into a little bit of core activation. Slowly round up, one vertebrae at a time. Option here is to do this with the assistance of a wall or a chair, or you can do this just in free space if you've got the balance. Cross one leg over top of the other. Push the hips back, getting a nice stretch in through the glute. Hold 1, 2, 3. Little shuffle run until you end up with the opposite leg on top. So 3 to 5 steps. Nice little stretch. And little shuffle run. Take it to the other side. We'll do 3 per leg. Little shuffle run. Glute stretch. Walking, making sure the bottom knee is tracking. Hips are back. Hips are square. One more on each side. Right foot on top. Hips are square. Bottom knee is tracking, not collapsed in. And switch it over to the other side. Very good. Okay, our core activation warm-up. So hopefully heart rate is down a little bit. You don't want your heart rate elevated as you lie on the ground here. And we are going to repeat our Pilates leg circles here. So what I would like you to do, belly button draws in, little grape underneath the back, fire that Kegel, lift the leg up to 90 degrees, or if you preferred straight leg, I prefer a little bit of a knee bend myself, and we're doing 5 circles one way. 1, focusing on that Kegel. 2, shoulders and chest relaxed. 3, 4, 5, change directions. So circling the leg the other way. 1, 2, still breathing. 3, exhale, inhale, and then exhale. Last one. I'm not going to worry too much about the breathing on this. I just want you mainly focusing on the core. If I was doing this as a specific Pilates workout and I was working with you for a long time, I'd be a lot more focused on the breathing. But for now, I just want consistent breathing, good Kegel, so fire that Kegel right now. Belly button gently drawn in, a little great pressing underneath your back, and single leg circle inside, so circling the leg in. Look at your opposite knee, it's nice and stable, so there shouldn't be any wobbling on the support leg. Let's do one more. If you want to think about the breathing, what I usually do is I inhale when the leg is static, and I exhale through the movement. Quick inhale, and exhale through the movement. Okay, you're going to flip over on all fours. So we did a fire hydrant version a couple of workouts ago, and what I would like you to do today, a little bit more advanced, we're still focusing on doing the core activation, so really focus on that Kegel from the prone position here. What I want you to do, we'll start on the left leg. I want you to lift the leg up and then try to extend it and bring it back down. So we're going to get some glute med work here as we're also working on the core. Lift up. So if you've been following my workouts, you know that I usually just do 1 to 2 sets of this type of movement at the beginning, and then we get more into functional movement. So this functions as your activator, trying to prime all those deep stabilizing muscles for the more larger compound movements that are more true to life. We're going to try 10 aside. So you should notice you feel some of your postural upper back, upper mid, lower back, stabilizing muscles working here, as well as the glute med and the core, ideally. This is a tricky little one. Switch over to the other side. So now I'm doing my right leg. Lift up. Even as you're lifting your legs, you are trying to keep your hips relatively square in that 4-point stance. 4-point meaning hand, knee in this position. Still think about that Kegel, please. So the first movement is make sure the core is activated. Lift the knee up and back down. Knee goes up, stabilize, hold, out. So that's 5. Take a little relax the Kegel, the core, let the belly drop. Reset everything, belly button in, fire that Kegel. Let's do another 5. 1, 2. Still trying to work on that Kegel. 3, 4, 5. Okay, and from here, 1 set of our little glute ham activator here. So our kneeling deadlift from a 4-point stance, squeezing to pull the body up. So not followed my other workouts. Here, what all I'm trying to do is to lift my body up, squeezing through the glutes and hamstrings. So I'm not using my low back here, but I'm squeezing. Weird way to think about it. You got a tuning in between your butt cheeks. Squeeze it to pull your body back up. A little bit easier to get this movement properly is to take the hands a little closer to your thighs so the lever length is a little shortened, so you can really trigger through those glutes and hammies. Actively exaggerate the pelvic thrust at the top of the movement to help you recruit the right muscle groups. Last one here. Good. Okay, moving on. Okay, one more warm-up type movement before we go into what I would consider our more functional, larger movements. So for the I's, Y's, and T's, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be getting you to maintain a good hip hinge position with the core activated to protect that low back. Glutes a little bit activated also to protect the low back. And I'm going to get you to do 3 positions with the arms. You're going to be in a Y position. So if I'm standing up, there's what a Y looks like. Shoulders have to be set down and back, and we're doing little pulses. Thumbs are going to be up. We're going to be doing 10 pulses in a Y position, an I position, 10 pulses in a Y position, and then 10 pulses in a T position. In between each one of those 10 pulses, we'll do a glute ham squeeze activation to pull our body back up. Once again, I'm just practicing that glute ham activation. So here we go. So core set, Slight bend in the knees, good hip hinge. Make sure you're in a nice straight body position from shoulder through the hip. You're going to set into that I position. We're doing 10 pulses, shoulders set down and back. 1, 2, 3. Pulsing up as high as you comfortably can without shrugging those shoulders towards those ears. 8, 9, 10. Leave the hands where they are. Squeeze through the glutes, pull the body back up. Reset back down. Move the hands into a Y position. Reset the shoulders down and back. Core is engaged. Kegel fired. 10 pulses. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Squeeze glutes and hamstrings. Come up back. Gets a little bit of a rest. Move the hands into a T position. Core set. Hinge back. Controlling through glutes and hammies. Shoulders down and back. Pulse. 10, 9, 8. Thumbs up to the ceiling. Double check you've got neutral spine. I tend to go into a little bit of an overarch, so I just corrected that there. 3, 2, 1. Squeeze the glutes and hammies. Come back up and relax. At the end of that set, what you should feel is a nice light up across the upper mid back. Low back might be working a little bit to stabilize, but it should feel comfortable. It should feel a good work. And then you're probably aware that your glutes and hamstrings helped out in that as well. Okay, moving on. Your options here moving forward through the workout are to go back and repeat your core activations along with your fire hydrants and your postural series, the I's, Y's, and T's. Then we're going to move on to our first functional series. So I would like you to lie on your back. I want you to set your core, so Kegel fired, belly button in tight. You're going to bridge your hips up. What I want you to do is to stabilize through one leg. So hips stay nice and square. I've got my weight pushing up through that left heel, so I feel my left glute and hamstring fired. And you're going to do basically a leg circle and extend in line with the opposite thigh. Quick cycle. Inhale. Inhale. What you should be feeling is your left hamstring lighting up to work here. You're going to do somewhere between 12 and 15, depending on what your capability is. There's 10, 11, 12. Your choice. Stop now, or do another 3. Switch to the other side. Now, if you feel your low back at all, take a quick little break, draw your knees in, and then switch over to the other side. Core and Kegel, lift up. If you didn't feel your back, your option is to just keep on going to the other leg. Inhale. So, I'm basically stopping the movement in line with my other thigh. 7. Double check your hips nice and square. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, last one, 15. Quick little knee draw in, flip over, and now we're going to go into first functional series is going to be our tiger deadlift. So if you can recall again what weights you used last time, in the video what I demonstrated with is I demonstrated with 2 laundry detergent containers, the tiger deadlift, knees slightly hinged, hinge forward till I feel a squeeze in my, I feel a stretch in my hamstrings. I'm at about shin level, then I actively recruit glutes and hamstrings to come back up. Now, if about 15 repetitions in the last workout using the weight that you chose seemed too easy or it seemed very doable, what I want you to do is we're going to change it into a unilateral movement. So you take your weight, whatever weight that you had, and you're going to put both in one hand. Okay? Now, if it doesn't work, it works well with this type of setup. If say you were doing it with a 10-pound dumbbell in each hand before, then what you do is you grab either a 15 or a 20-pound dumbbell and you do that in a single hand. Does that make sense? So I'll demo a few with the laundry detergent here, and then I'll switch over to my 20-pound dumbbell and I'll do it with that. So here we go. Hinging forward, squeezing to come back up. Now, very, very important here. Unilateral movement. If you've never done unilateral movement before, so it's just a fancy way of saying weight loaded just on one side, then I probably wouldn't recommend really doubling the weight. If say you're going from a 7-pound to a 14-pound, that's probably doable. A 10 to a 20-pound might be pushing it a little bit. So you just got to experiment with what your body feels like it can tolerate. Shouldn't feel any straining through the low back. You should still be able to do all this recruitment through the glutes and hammies. And we're going to do 10 to 12 reps each side and then switch. Squeeze glutes and hamstrings. What you're very aware of, and what would be great to do, is to do this in front of a mirror, is that your weight is evenly distributed, and we're going to switch sides. Weight is evenly distributed between the left and right legs. So hips are square, completely symmetrical over top of your feet. So even though you're loading on one side, your body's staying symmetrical. Why is unilateral loading important? Anybody who's a mom knows. You're usually carrying your child, your car seat, it's all on one side. So you've got to be aware how to position your body, how to work through one side. That's it, good job. Again, 10 to 12 reps. And 2 more. And last one. Good. Okay, so assess again, how did that feel? It should be challenging, but it should not feel any strain in the low back. So if it didn't feel challenging, no strain in the low back, go up to a heavier load. So I'll just show a couple of reps with a 20-pound dumbbell. A little bit tougher, but again, I most of the time would be doing for myself advanced workouts. So 20 pounds might be a little bit extreme for most people. Once again, if you've never done unilateral movement before, I recommend staying at a 15-pound weight or below on a single side till you've done a workout, see how you feel the day of and the next day. Next movement that we're doing, if you remember last time in the last workout, we did a single arm row. So today we're going to just take that and make that just a little bit tougher, and we're going to take that into a position where you're in a staggered stance. So last time we used these guys for our load. We used a single arm, so now you've got to have it on both sides. What you're going to do is you're going to find, once again, that magical hip hinge with good posture, core set, glutes squeezed to stabilize, and we're doing that double arm row. So we're taking it to a double arm. I have to keep on being aware of that neutral spine. As I did in the chair row, however, it's even more important because I don't have support through my upper body. Good. So you're aiming anywhere between 8 to 10 on each side. I stand up, switch sides. So if your back's fatiguing at all, just take a little bit longer break at the top. Switch sides, core tight, hip hinge, and squeeze. 1, 2, 3. Really pulling those shoulder blades together, but down and back. Don't squeeze up towards your ears. Down and back, squeezing. 3 more. 1, 2, and 3. And stand back up. Okay, go ahead and superset between the tiger deadlift and the hip hinge here. If you feel like you need a little bit of a stretch for your back in between, because no matter what, even though the idea is that our back is not being overloaded, you will be working your back, your mid to low back in this position because we're working the hip hinge. So if it just needs a little bit of a break, a little bit of a stretch, here's a great easy stretch to do. You hinge over, grab underneath your thighs, and just round through the back gently, not over pulling, just a little gentle pull. I let the head drop, and I'm getting a nice easy stretch all the way down the spine. Don't hold for too long, but maybe do 2 sets of 10 seconds if you need to, and then go back and repeat the tiger deadlift series along with the staggered row, and do that up to 2 to 3 sets if you have time. If you don't, let's move on, and we'll go on to our next series. And we will get into our second functional series. So you're going to need your heavy load, whatever that is. So in my case, I'm choosing the 20-pound dumbbell. Your options would be to use a kettlebell. Your options would be to use something like this. And we're doing a sumo squat. So what a sumo squat is basically you're going to stand with your toes slightly turned out. You want to keep your knees, as you do the movement, pressing out in line with your second or third toe. You want to keep your chest nice and upright. You're going to bring your body pretty much so that the front of your body is just right, not so much right over top, but just a little bit at the back of the load, but the load is very close to the body. So you're going to plie down, grab onto that load. So you need to get down low enough so that we're not hinging forward. It's really coming all through the legs. And that's why I like the dumbbell. I have the range to be able to do this. If you don't quite have the range, then maybe something where you are higher up, such as the baby basket, might be ideal. So I come down. In order to get my body up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actively squeeze my legs together. The cue that I like to give people is that you've got a humongous beach ball in between your legs and you're actively trying to pop it using the inner thighs. So again, what we're trying to do is mentally try to make the quads work less, the glutes, the adductors, the hamstrings take more of the work. Inhale down, exhale up. As deep range as you feel comfortable. From the side. Squeeze the inner thighs together to bring your body up. Imaginary beach ball. I'm going to do 5 more. Good. Okay, so reevaluate right now. Did you choose the right weight? Were your legs working pretty hard? If not, you need to find a way to get a heavier load or make the range deeper. If it was too challenging, lighten up the repetitions, lighten up the load, or get yourself working from a slightly higher position. Okay. Next, mountain climbers. So just to review, if you're not going to do it from the ball, you're a mountain climber. You want to make sure you're in that good shoulder blade position. So you're not collapsed, but you're pushing out of the heels and hands so the shoulder blades are spread. Go back, review workout 1, workout 2, and I go over that. And you're going to be in a good push-up position. You drive your knee as high as you comfortably can, and then little extra toe drive, knee, then toe. That toe drive comes just a couple of inches in front of the knee, but you're not driving it up so far that you hike your body. So you're only bringing that knee that extra couple of inches, which allows you to keep the body in that good symmetry at the top. Now, option here, so you're going to do 10 aside. Option here, if you want, take it to a larger stability ball. I'm going to show you on a basketball here, because this is all I have at home. And we're doing the same movement. Knee touch, toe touch. If I can, without really changing my upper body, I'm going to aim now to get the toe touching the ball. Drawing that belly button tight. Two more. Okay, little recovery with a floor flattener. If you find floor flatteners too easy, go ahead and take this to a wall flattener, which is basically doing the same movement, standing up against a wall. In either case, your knees are bent to the point where you can easily get the low back pressed into the floor or into your imaginary grate. I'm sliding my hands up and down the floor or the wall, actively trying to press my wrists into the floor. So this is a good chest opener and really working on the deep stabilizing upper back muscles, which will get lax in your pregnancy, especially as your chest gets bigger. If you can, think about the Kegel. You can play around with either just keeping it on the whole time, or you can turn it on and off. And you've got 5 more. 1, 2, 3, 4. Last one. 5. Okay, so to complete your workout, what I want you to do is to do 2 to 3 sets complete of your sumo squat, your mountain climber variation, and plus those floor flatteners. And then we'll get into our cool down stretches.